This is the story of a Caribbean paradise, which has been impaired by a natural storm and exploited for human greed. The island of Barbuda has a unique history, culture, and land tenure system that set it apart from the larger Caribbean region. From 1680 to 1830s, the island was leased to Covington family of England. They used the enslaved African population to raise livestock, which serviced the sugar plantation on the neighboring Antigua. In 1834, emancipation happened. The people of Barbuda were left to fend themselves. This drove them to successfully develop an economy of agriculture, fishing, charcoal, and open-range livestock. Barbudans had communal land ownership which has preserved their community from the hazards of drought and domination. During the 19th and 20th century, Barbudans successfully coped with the alternate heavy rainfalls and droughts by switching from commercial cultivation to expanding livestock keeping with their unique grazing wisdom. During wet periods, livestock roam freely, feeding on shrublands unrestrictedly. During dry periods, livestock would assemble at the wells and the Barbudans would round them up for butchering or exports. These activities gave Barbudans ground to contend that they owned the land in common. This form of tenureship was formalized into law through the Barbudan Land Act in 2007. Because of their high sensibility to the natural landscape through this tenureship, Barbudans were able to preserve much of the lush natural habitats. However, not everyone honored the Land Act. Calling the communal land ownership a myth, the Prime Minister, Gaston Brown, had the agenda to open the island for foreign developers. In 2015, with the help of the Prime Minister, Hollywood celebrity Robert De Niro began a plan of large-scale development in Barbuda. The 2016 Act opened up Barbuda to more and more foreign investors who came in and planned their developments. In addition to Practice Fund, PLH, Peace, Love and Happiness, another American luxury resort and housing development company, signed a 99-year lease with the government on the 425 acres of land. This was done without any consulting with the locals. Since then, other planned developments were happening all along the once untouched coastline. Just as the locals had feared, the new developments left severe damages on the existing ecosystems, the coral reefs as well as the wetland salt ponds along the coasts. The influx of development plans only accelerated with the arrival of Hurricane Irma, which hit the island on September 6, 2017.
Irma is a scary hurricane. 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 Irma is a scary hurricane.
When the Prime Minister arrived in Barbuda after 12 hours, Irma hit Barbuda. He saw the 95% structures were destroyed on the island, together with the development opportunities. Fearing for the arrival of Hurricane Jose that is approached the island in 2 days, Barbudan authority made the unprecedented decision by declaring the state of emergency. They began to evacuate relocated Barbudans to Antigua. By the evening of September 8th, all 1,800 residents were evacuated before Jose hit. For the first time in 300 years, no one is living on the island of Barbuda. However, Jose didn't do much damage to the island, but the evacuation mandate is still on. While Barbudans were still trapped in Antigua, exemptions were made for certain groups of people. Relief teams, approved volunteers, and cleanup crews were preparing for the reconstruction in quarantine. UNESCO team flew immediately to the island to assess the damage of its historical heritage, while the government was seizing the opportunity to prepare for future development. A large stripe of forests, the home of Asian trees and local animals, were cleared up by the government for a third international airport. 21 days later, the evacuation mandate is lifted. However, people were reluctant to come back while developers were eagerly approaching the land. A much larger 650-acre project invested by US-based real estate was approved by the government without involving the local council or Barbudan people. 4 months after Irma, the Barbuda Amendment Act came into effect. It speeded up the development for tourism. However, reconstruction of the facilities for Barbudans to come back are going slow. A 300-year tradition of communal land ownership was dismantled in several months. Irma led in the huge development. The paradise is lost, no longer belong to its people.